So, both schedules for LSU and Saints have been released, of course, released earlier this week. Of course, I do not know when this video will be released, probably a couple weeks after probably a week or so after. Don't know when I'm going to try to get this video out because I have other videos that I am working on right now to try to get out, so I'm just recording a lot right now at this point. But in this video, I wanted to go ahead and look at both the LSU and Saints schedules for 2025. Mostly just talk about each game and of course how I feel about the schedule, and kind of go ahead and do my predictions of who I think will win against, who I think we might lose against. And of course, we'll have to wait and see actually when the season comes. But I'm going to go ahead and do some of my early predictions, what games I'm kind of excited for, and everything else about this season. So first, we're going to start off with the LSU season to start off the video. And before we get to that, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are new to the channel make sure you hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification bell for future upcoming videos on the channel, as I try to do football content like this, and I also do a little bit of wrestling content as well. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the video. Now, we're going to start off again, like I said before at the beginning of the video, with LSU's schedule for 2025. And of course, it was announced a time for this matchup, as Week 1's matchup for LSU will be at Clemson against the Clemson Tigers at 6:30 p.m. at Clemson. So, of course, I don't know how I want to say how I feel about this first game opener because, of course, of how LSU has been the past few years. I am hoping this is the year, but a little bit of me, so I'm back and forth with this. If I want us to win this so we can end the drought, but this is also Clemson and it's on their home turf. And this is LSU we're talking about at the beginning of the season. So, like I said before, we'll just have to wait and see, but I'm going to go ahead and say I think LSU can try to pull it out on the road, but we'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and give them a win in this one. The next game in Week 2 is our first home game against Louisiana Tech. Nothing really much to talk about in this one. We're definitely going to get the win, I hope. But then, shockingly enough, when I looked at Week 3, we actually have the Florida Gators early this year, as we actually have Florida in Week 3. Usually we would probably have them like later on in the year, but we have Florida in Week 3 at home. So we continue with our home streak. So, of course, with this one as well, I don't know. Florida did pull off an upset against us last year, so I really hope we get our revenge this year with it being back in Death Valley. So I have us getting a win in this one. Week 4 has us playing against Southeastern University. That's, of course, here in Louisiana, at home for our third straight home opener. Third straight home game on September 20th. Of course, pretty sure should be an easy win for LSU in this one. So already starting off with a 4-0 streak, but now we finally get into the tough competition, mostly with Ole Miss. Now, I do not have high hopes that we could potentially beat this Ole Miss team, but there is a possible chance that we could, because this Ole Miss team doesn't have Jackson Dart, and of course, don't really know what big players they have now. And of course, they always definitely give us a struggle. Of course, last year in overtime with the game-winning touchdown at LSU, and then of course the high-scoring game a couple of years ago with Jaden Daniels at their home turf. So this one could go either way. If I'm honest with you, I think we do pull off the win in this one, so we continue our winning streak. The next one is our homecoming game, as we'll actually play against South Carolina, who did give us a tough matchup. And shockingly enough, I actually think South Carolina, with Sellers, that Heisman candidate quarterback, I think South Carolina could pull off an upset against us, as it is at home and they could probably pull off an upset in the homecoming. But that's just me saying that. It probably won't happen. Mostly just saying that because I really don't see LSU going on an undefeated streak. So I feel like South Carolina will probably be one of maybe one or two teams that will pull off an upset against us. That then leads us to, of course, our next road game against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, of course, that had the amazing season. Pretty good, amazing season last year. Pulled off one of the big-time upsets against Alabama. And now, of course, they have us again. They lost to us last year at home, of course. We were at home. Now they're at Vanderbilt for this one, so we are going there to Nashville. But I think even though with Vanderbilt, if Vanderbilt does have a pretty good season, as they definitely proved to potentially be a pretty good team in the SEC. So I definitely think that would give us a tough matchup this time again, but I think we could pull out the victory on the road against Vanderbilt. So next on October 25th will be the rematch against Texas A&M at home. Of course, we had a chance to win, but the second half was all Texas A&M last season. So hopefully we can get our revenge in this one and we pull off the win. Now this is the big one that I want to say that I want us to win, and I feel like we will, because this is a game that I think we definitely should win. Not should win, but at least could win, I should say. And that, of course, is our rivalry game against Alabama. Of course, don't know who Alabama's new starting quarterback is or what their quarterback situation is or their top players, as, of course, Jalen Miller went to the draft and other big stars went to the draft as well. So definitely it's going to be an interesting matchup, and we still have Nussmeier and still have a lot of other big-time players on our team this year for this upcoming season. So it's going to be a big matchup as always, and I do feel like this is a year that we do defeat Alabama. So I'm definitely hoping for that, and it is at Alabama. Continuing on our SEC stretch, we have Arkansas at home, and I definitely think we do continue our streak of winning the Golden Boot. This time at home against Arkansas, I say we have a win for that one. And of course, I do say we have a win against Western Kentucky, which will be our final home game, which of course will be Senior Day, I believe. Then that leads us to the final game of the season against Oklahoma at Oklahoma. Of course, they could definitely give us a tough challenge, but I don't know how well they'll be this year, so I'm definitely giving us the win. I know I could have probably given us an undefeated streak or anything, undefeated season or something like that, but I feel like there is going to be that one random SEC team, and I think South Carolina is going to be that team to come into Death Valley on homecoming and pull off an upset. I mean, they have an amazing team, and they did have a pretty good season They did have a really good season last year. They nearly defeated us and Alabama. They have that quarterback Sellers, who is definitely a Heisman candidate early right now. And that's a good South Carolina team that could definitely pull off a win against us. So I give them the win. I'm not going too far of what I think, like how we would be ranked or anything, or if we would make a run in the playoffs. Mostly just looking at the regular season. So looking like we mostly, I believe, with only one loss. How many games are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we at least finish with an 11-1 record is my prediction. We could finish with 3 losses as usual and could still eke out a 10-win victory, a 10-win season. But hopefully with how this season looks, hopefully that doesn't happen, and hopefully we don't start the season off with another season opener loss. I can't handle 6 years in a row that we have lost in the season opener. So yeah, there's the LSU schedule. Next is, of course, we will be talking about the New Orleans Saints schedule, which is more interesting and, of course, is more longer with 18 weeks now. So let's go ahead and get to some of these matchups. Before I actually get on to the matchups, though, if you know about the time or have seen the schedule, you should have saw that we have no primetime games. For the first time in 25 years of this franchise, since 2000, that there is no primetime games for the Saints. A full-on slap in the face by the NFL saying, you know what, you're just not going to have primetime games because you suck that much. You know what, you're just going to have the 3 o'clock and you're just going to have noon games. That's all you're going to have. Thank you, NFL. Thank you. I don't know if it is the NFL or if it's the Saints. I don't know. But thank you anyway. Not really. I hate everything. Anyway, not really. Anyway, let's get to these games. I'll probably pull up a picture of it So home games, of course, is black. Away games are gold. So let's go ahead and start off with the first game in September, week 1, against the Arizona Cardinals, which, if I'm honest with you, should be a pretty good matchup against, and I feel like should be a good first win. Now, I do also want to go ahead and say this real quick that I meant to say before I talked about this game, is of course the question, who is going to be the starting quarterback? Now, this question is probably something I do want to do in another video probably in the future that I will talk about, whether it could be Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shook, or even potentially Jake Haener. But I think we're mostly just going to, for right now in this prediction, we're going to put Tyler Shook as the starter, as the rookie starter for this Saints team. Now, I don't know if he is going to be the starter or not. That, of course, is another video for the future, as, of course, we're still continuing with training camps and all that other stuff through this off season going into the start of the season. But I will have a video about that of who I think should start later on. Anyway, I do think we probably do have a good win against the Arizona Cardinals at home. But then we go into week 2 to face the San Francisco 49ers that, even though, yes, they did not have a good season last year, they actually just right now today, or not really today or whatever, today that I'm recording this video, Brock Purdy just signed a 5-year extension with the 49ers. So, of course, they do still have Brock Purdy, and they have a couple other big-time players like Ayuk and George Kittle on their offense, so they definitely still could give us a little bit of trouble, and especially on defense with Fred Warner, and I believe they still, no, I couldn't remember what happened. Was it Joey or Nick Bosa that moved on to it? I think it was, I don't know. I'm blanking out right now. I can't remember. If you guys want to help, send me in the comments which one of the Bosa brothers it was that left and went for played for another team. I can't remember if it was Nick or Joey. Anyway, I think we actually lose this game against the 49ers. Then we go on the road against 2 tough teams, against the Seattle Seahawks and the Buffalo Bills. Of course, the Seahawks don't have Geno Smith or DK Metcalf. They do have Sam Darnold. So I think we do have a chance to win this against the Seahawks. So with that in mind, I think we do get the win against the Seahawks, probably in a close one to move us to 2-1. But I do not see us winning against the Buffalo Bills. That is definitely one game I am interested to see because, like, against Josh Allen, last year's MVP, playing in Buffalo, it's gonna be an interesting one to see. So I'm definitely interested to see how that goes. But I don't see us winning that one, so we move to 2-2. Then we're back at home for the New York Giants in a rematch from that crazy ending that we had last year. The, of course, infamous game that had the injury to Derek Carr that apparently was him with the shoulder injury and all that we know has been going on through this off season as well. But I think we do still pull off the win because I don't know what the whole quarterback situation or team situation with that is, but I think we do still pull off and eke out a victory because, of course, it's at home, and I think the dome will definitely be a factor. Next, we actually have, in week 6, we have the New England Patriots, which could give us a little bit of a challenge. Will Campbell coming back home to Louisiana, of course, drafted by the New England Patriots. They could give us a little bit of a challenge as they are still a pretty young team with Drake May. So I think we do actually still win and kind of pull off a victory. So let me see. So I've had us only 2 losses at this point. So I kind of have us at a 4-2 record. And then we're going to be on the road against the Chicago Bears. And honestly, I think the Chicago Bears are a little bit of a better team than us right now. So I think I'm actually going to give Chicago the win here. Of course, it's going to be at home, and I feel like Caleb Williams is going to have a bounce-back year this year, and this team's going to have a bounce-back year as well. Don't know about playoffs, but I think they're going to have a bounce-back year, giving us our first loss. Then we'll be back home against Tampa Bay, which, of course, is the first of our 2 meetings against them, and is, of course, our first divisional matchup. So we have our first divisional rivalry matchup all the way until week 8. So that's pretty shocking. I thought we would have had at least one of them in the first 2 weeks at least. But we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home, and I think with home field advantage we will get the win in this one, but I don't know how we would actually be in real life, so I'm going to kind of make this more interesting. But we do move to a 5-3 record, which is not too bad coming into the mid-season. Don't know how the players would be doing, but I'm mostly just going off of my head. But then we have 2 straight away games. First against the Los Angeles Rams, that of course I believe still have Matthew Stafford, but of course have Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. So I think they'll definitely be a tough team to beat, and I do think they will actually defeat us in Week 9, and we will lose to the Rams. But then we continue continue on the road with our first matchup against the Panthers on the road, and I think we would actually get a revenge against the Panthers this year at their home field with a win. Here at their home field, kind of now making us go back and forth with win and losses, moving us back to 6-4 on the year, going into our bye week, which will be in Week 11, and then actually going on to Atlanta, back with Atlanta at home. And honestly, I think Atlanta out of the 2 will actually be a tougher opponent for us, because I think really they are the better looking team a little bit, because they do still have a young Michael Penix and of course a young Bijan Robinson and other great young talents on their offense, and they do have a pretty good defense. So I think they actually will pull off a victory against us, giving us a loss and moving us to 6-5. Then we're on the road for 2 more games in a row, first against Miami and then against Tampa Bay, both in Florida. But first, starting off with Miami in Week 13, I think Miami would have a bounce back year in this one. Hopefully Tua stays healthy, and I think they would actually pull off a victory with them at home. And sadly, we would actually have our first losing streak, as I do have us losing to Tampa Bay. Have us losing to Tampa Bay and having us over 500 with a 6-7 record at this point. But we do bounce back with 2 more wins, as I do see us winning again against the Panthers in Week 15 at home, and then winning again against the Jets at home. Jets at home in Week 16. In Week 16, then we'll actually be on the road to end off the season against the Titans and of course the Falcons. I actually do have us probably winning against the Titans, but that one's kind of either way. But I'm going to give us the win of the Titans, and sadly we do lose 2 in a row to the Falcons. But that could go either way as well. Kind of finishing us off with a pretty winning record, with a good winning record and a better record than last year with a 9-8 record. But if I'm honest with you, with our 9-8 record, I don't think I see us even winning the division or even making the playoffs, but it is a step further. Now, of course, I've heard that we are not favored at all in any of the games besides 1 game against the New York Jets in Week 16. So that, of course, is another problem. So we'll definitely just have to wait and see when the season comes. And, of course, have to see who is going to start for this team at quarterback. But I have us finishing with a 9-8 record, maybe placing 3rd in the division, maybe bumping over whoever else to get 2nd again, but I have us with an okay winning record, better than last year, definitely giving us a little bit of hope probably. But 9-8 again is the record that I have for us, not making the playoffs, but a little bit of hope to see what we have in the future. But we'll have to see how the season actually goes. Maybe we'll have less wins, maybe we'll have more wins, maybe we'll have more losses, maybe we'll actually shockingly make the playoffs. I don't know, anything could happen, but those are my predictions for the Saints schedule. Alright, with those predictions out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have your own predictions for, of course, these games for both LSU and Saints, definitely leave them down in the comments down below. And, of course, leave your comments of what y'all think about my predictions as well, if y'all agree with them, don't agree, or have y'all's own thoughts or whatever. So definitely leave a comment down below. And, yeah, just leave a comment down below and with your thoughts and all that with this schedule and how y'all are feeling with the schedule, and of course how you think this season might go with these schedules as well. So with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, again, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys hit that like button, and also again, if you guys are new, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell for future upcoming videos on the channel. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys have a wonderful, amazing day. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.